The world is facing a new trade crisis. U.S. President Donald Trump has raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 145%. China has answered back with its own 125% tariffs on American products. This back and forth is making people and businesses across the globe worried. Countries like India, France, and South Africa are reacting. Markets are falling, and people are afraid of a new world recession. Leaders say they must work together to fix the problem before it gets worse. Trump raises tariffs on China. President Donald Trump announced a 145% tariff on Chinese imports. This means that goods from China now cost much more in the United States. Trump said this will help bring factories and jobs back to the U.S. Earlier, he wrote on Truth Social that the tariff would be 125%, but the final number was higher because of older tariffs already in place. Trump said there will be a transition cost, but called it a beautiful thing in the end. China hits back. China responded quickly. It raised its own tariffs on American products to 125%, up from 84%. The Chinese government says the U.S. is being unfair and using unilateral bullying. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. He said China and Europe must stand together and protect fair trade. Xi asked the EU to help China fight against unfair actions by the U.S. markets react around the world. Markets in Asia and Europe fell because of the trade fight. Japan's Nikkei dropped more than 5%. South Korea's Kospi and Australia's stock markets also went down. In Europe, markets were mixed. France and Germany saw small gains, but traders are still nervous. The US dollar also lost value as people moved their money to safer places like gold and the Swiss franc. Leaders speak out. Many leaders are sharing their thoughts. French President Emmanuel Macron said the 90-day pause on some U.S. tariffs is only a fragile pause. He said it brings more uncertainty for businesses. Italian Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani said, "Trade wars help no one." He hopes the U.S. will sit down with the EU and make a fair deal. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said India is working fast to finish a trade deal with the U.S. and the EU. India feels the pressure. India has been affected too. Trump had announced a 26% tariff on Indian goods, but paused it for 90 days. The pause brought a small relief. India's stock market, the Sensex and Nifty, went up after the pause was announced. The rupee also became stronger against the dollar. Seafood exporters in India were especially happy. One farmer said, "Now we can send seafood to the U.S. again." China looks to Europe. President Xi is trying to work closely with Europe. He told Spain's Prime Minister that China and the EU must work together to protect free trade. Spain's leader agreed and said both sides should keep working together. Xi said, "This is not just about China and the EU. It is about protecting fairness in the whole world." South Africa and the African region. Worries. South Africa and other African countries are also worried. U.S. tariffs now hit African cars, textiles, and farm products. Experts say that Lesotho, Mauritius, Madagascar, and South Africa will suffer the most. Factories may close, and many workers could lose their jobs. Taiwan begins talks with U.S. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te said Taiwan is in the first group of countries to start talks with the U.S. about tariffs. Taiwan wants to cut the 10% tariff it currently faces and avoid being treated like China. Taiwan is also trying to stop origin laundering, where companies try to hide where goods come from. U.S. clients worry about IT projects. India's largest IT company, TCS, says U.S. tariffs are making American companies worried. Many clients are delaying new projects. TCS warned that the U.S. trade war is hurting confidence and slowing growth in the IT sector, which earns billions of dollars each year from the U.S. market. Strange reactions around the world. In Singapore, a Chinese restaurant put up a sign saying Americans must pay a 104% extra charge. The sign went viral online and was later removed after criticism. This shows how angry some people are about Trump's actions, even in places far from the U.S. and China. Gold prices soar, dollar falls. Investors are buying gold, which hit a new all-time high. This often happens when people are scared about the future. The U.S. dollar dropped to its lowest level in 10 years against the Swiss franc. This means people are losing trust in the U.S. economy and want safer places to keep their money. Shrimpers in the U.S. cheer tariffs. Not everyone is sad. Some people in the U.S. are happy. Shrimpers in the Gulf Coast say the tariffs will stop cheap shrimp from coming in from other countries. They say they can't compete with low prices from China and South America. One shrimper said, "Tariffs will help us survive." Conclusion: a call for unity. The world is now facing a big challenge. President Trump's tariff war with China is shaking the world economy. Many leaders, like President Xi and Emmanuel Macron, are asking for unity and fair trade. The next 90 days will be very important. Talks could help bring peace to the trade world. But if things get worse, a global recession might come. Countries must now decide: fight alone or work together.